We're called to a house in Northamptonshire today after reports of a suspicious package being delivered to a house. Emergency crews were called to the property in Stanwick near Wellingborough at around 10:30 this morning. Police say that it was a substance inside the package that caused concern. An area was sealed off for most of the day, but it has now been declared safe in the last hour.
No, we're not clear at the moment as to why this package was delivered to this particular property or to this gentleman, but we will investigate that and hopefully identify the reasons and anybody behind sending such communications, and we'll investigate that thoroughly.
The Norfolk-based turkey producer Bernard Matthews today announced it was looking to cut its workforce by 160. The company says it'll start a consultation process with staff and hopes to make the cuts in March. It says the reduction in staff numbers is part of a series of efficiency improvements aimed at returning the company to growth.
Next tonight, police are warning drivers to take extra care as temperatures plummet again tonight after black ice caused chaos in parts of the region earlier on today.
Emergency crews were called out to dozens of accidents this morning, with Norwich and the surrounding villages particularly badly hit. Hannah Pettifer has more.
An all too familiar scene. As temperatures plummet overnight and the roads give way to black ice, morning commuters are faced with lengthy tailbacks. This two-vehicle collision on the A47 south of Norwich held up the traffic for more than an hour. Only a few miles away in Mulbarton, and another victim of the icy conditions. A police car called to another vehicle that had overturned also lost control. The two officers had to be cut out of the car. Just two of a whole host of accidents the emergency services attended this morning.
The ones we've had reported through the Norfolk control room are number 40 at the moment, and of course that doesn't cater for those who have chosen to deal with accidents sort of via exchange of details and not report to police, so that's a very busy morning for us.
But the bad weather doesn't necessarily mean bad business. At this garage in Norwich, they've seen their workload more than double since the start of the cold snap.
It's mainly road traffic accidents, bodywork, suspension damage where vehicles are slid on the ice, one or two major RTCs where the vehicles are, substantially damaged, which we then have to store until such times as the salvage companies can come and collect.
Norfolk County Council has said the roads were treated last night, but subsequent rain and snow and a drop in temperatures made some areas treacherous.
We are still in the grip of winter, and even though road conditions may look perfect, particularly when there isn't snow laying around, drivers would see a black road and think that everything is perfect. Actually, temperatures are still very low, and we all need to drive with a great deal of care and attention. And perhaps some of the accidents we've seen this morning is where drivers have been caught out, where the conditions are perhaps a little bit worse than they actually perceive them to be.
Police are urging drivers to take extra care as those icy conditions return tonight. No one may have been seriously injured in these two incidents, but they're just hoping that remains the case. Hannah Pettifer, Anglia News, Norwich.
Certainly has felt pretty chilly, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
And we'll have Amanda, of course, coming up with the weather forecast.
Could be some snow as well.
Oh, don't say that. Now, the rock singer Pete Doherty will appear before magistrates in Lowestoft later on this month in connection with a collision last year that left a Suffolk man fighting for his life.
The Baby Shambles frontman is accused of letting his manager drive his car without insurance. Well, we can join Serena Sandy now, who's in our newsroom, to tell us more. Serena.
Well, it all stems back to a car crash on Benton Street in Hadley on the 27th of September last year. Although Pete Doherty wasn't directly involved, his manager Andrew Boyd was driving a car that allegedly belonged to Doherty when he hit local man Chris Corder. The 42-year-old was left seriously injured and has remained in a coma ever since. Last month, Boyd admitted dangerous driving, driving with no insurance and licence and failing to stop at the scene. Doherty has now been accused of letting his manager drive his car without insurance. His case will go before magistrates in Lowestoft in 3 weeks' time. Now, that's the same date that Boyd will be sentenced at Ipswich Crown Court. Doherty doesn't have to attend court and could enter a plea by post, but Boyd has been warned that he could face a prison sentence.
Serena, thank you for the latest on that. Now, it's nearly 6:15. You're watching Wednesday's Anglia Tonight.
Still to come, all the news and sport from where you live, plus some new arrivals. More news from where you live now, and police in Norfolk say they're extremely concerned for a Polish woman who left hospital without her baby shortly after giving birth. 32-year-old Agnieszka Masyniaki, who arrived from Poland last week, was last seen at the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital at around 11:30 on Saturday morning. She'd just given birth to a baby girl and had told doctors she'd returned to the hospital after picking up some possessions. It's believed she has friends in the Lakenham and Tuxford area of Norwich.
Members of the RAF regiment from Honington near Bury St Edmunds are enjoying the start of 6 weeks' leave after returning from Afghanistan. 150 members of 27 Squadron arrived back at RAF Honington last night, where they were reunited with friends and families. They've been based in Kandahar since July.
So how happy are you to be home?
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, it is.
Flight could have gone a little bit shorter, but now I've seen my family, friends and that, really happy.
An animal centre in Essex has started using some unusual methods to advertise the dogs it wants to rehome.
It's not using the local newspaper or billboards, but it's using the dogs themselves by making them wear special vests while they're out walking. Tom Barton has more.
It's walkies for Nellie the Labrador and Sonny the Staffordshire Bull Terrier at the Danaher Animal Home in Wethersfield near Braintree. They're not, though, wearing these coats because of the cold weather, but because the sanctuary is struggling to rehome them. Now, Nellie here's been in the home for 4 months. She's one of their longest-serving residents, and the staff here hope that these bibs will mean that somebody comes forward and offers her a much-needed new home. The idea is that people are much more likely to respond to the dogs if they see them out and about.
It's there to generate interest, really. A lot of people like the idea, and we've had a lot of interest. They'll just come up, ask what the dog's name is, what breed it is, what it's like around children, things like that.
The centre has particular problems rehoming animals like Sonny. He's a slightly older dog, and Staffordshire Bull Terriers are currently unpopular with the public. Staff at the centre hope that ideas like this will help find homes for those dogs which have been with them for a long time.
It's just an idea to sort of promote the dogs, especially the longer-serving dogs that we've got at the home. At the moment, we are full to capacity, and there's 64 kennels on site, and you know we're trying to rehome all of these dogs as quickly as possible.
Everyone knows that dogs love to be taken for a walk. Hopefully, for these animals, their favourite hobby will also find them a new family. Tom Barton, Anglia News at Wethersfield near Braintree.
You hope so, don't we? Great idea. Now, with almost 1 million 16 to 25-year-olds now unemployed in Britain, getting young people into work is one of the government's top priorities.
That's why ministers are backing National Apprenticeship Week to try and give practical vocational training. Martin Stew has been to a pub in Suffolk which has benefited from the scheme.
Opening time at the Four Horseshoes pub in Eye. At just 20, the landlord Tom Pankhurst is fresh-faced and full of fresh ideas.
That's the worst point I've ever had.
He's run the pub since he was 19. His success he puts down to an apprenticeship.
Well, the best thing about the apprenticeship is that you learn everything specific to your job. So I learned everything from how to pour a pint, cooking in the kitchen, customer service. The real key thing about the apprenticeships is they focus on a specific job, and by completing that course you've proved that you can do your job.
Tom's such a big fan he's talked a third of the workforce at the Four Horseshoes into signing up. Now 5 of the staff are enrolled in vocational training here at Otley College. They still get to do their day job and still get paid, and because the course is so practical, most of the teaching happens back at the pub. One of them is 22-year-old Richard Hutchins. When he joined the pub 2 years ago, he was a novice in the kitchen. Now, having finished his MVQ Level 2, he's learnt all the practical tricks of the trade.
I'd say it's worth doing, because obviously you're learning what you need to learn, and of course you're working and obviously getting paid for it as well at the end of the day. So I think you get more out of it than maybe what you would at college, because you're actually developing the skill you need to develop.
Richard's course was funded by a grant. In the next 10 years, the government wants 1 in 5 young people to take an apprenticeship. An investment in training they believe will pay off. Martin Stew, Anglia News, Eye.